The Dayton City Commission meeting will now come to order. Please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. This evening, the invocation will be given by Commissioner Joseph.
Thank you, Mayor. Dear Lord, thank you for your many blessings. Please bless us with humility and with wisdom to make wise decisions for your city. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, may I have the roll call, please?
Mayor Mims,
Aye.
Commissioners Joseph,
Aye.
Shaw,
Aye.
Fairchild,
Aye.
Turner-Sloss.
Okay. May I have a motion then to excuse Commissioner Turner-Sloss from this evening's meeting?
So moved, Your Honor. Second the motion, Your Honor.
Okay, it's been probably moved and seconded to exclude or excuse Commissioner Turner-Sloss from this evening's meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Okay. Well, first of all, just apologize for us being just about 2 minutes late. We had a very exciting presentation from Learn to Earn about some of the educational programs that the city is in partnership with them, as well as some of our area schools. So very exciting. I wish you guys could have heard it, but you can go online and you can get a sort of catch up on it. So communication petitions, Mr. Clinton.
There are none, Your Honor.
Okay, and no presentations this evening. Calendar items, Mr. Clinton. Are there any additions, deletions, or comments to the calendar?
Your Honor, I would like to request the addition of legislation pertaining to the public hearing at the desire of the Commission.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, Mr. Parlett, any additions, deletions, or comments to the calendar?
I have no additions or deletions, Your Honor, but I do have just some brief comments. The large majority of this calendar before you this evening is departments requesting to have agreements in place so that we can hit the ground running in 2026. A few exceptions include items 10 and 13, which represent our support of the construction of 27 affordable housing units in the Wolf Creek neighborhood. Very exciting. And also, finally, for my comments at least, $3.5 million to replace passenger boarding bridges.
Okay.
So this is phase 3 of that effort. Obviously, very expensive pieces of equipment. So
Okay.
that's all I have, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. So, Ms. McClendon, do we have any citizens who are registered to speak on city manager's recommendations?
There are none on calendar items.
Okay, non-calendar. Commissioners, questions on the city manager's recommendations? Commissioner Fairchild.
No.
Done?
I'm good.
Okay.
I just want to say that I want to echo your enthusiasm about the Wolf Creek houses. People may not understand how difficult it is to build houses these days because the money that you put into building them isn't always, people aren't always able to afford that at the target audience we're looking at. So the fact that we're able to help build these is huge, and we'll start to make a dent in this problem. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking and or hoping that we'd have some citizens who want to talk on those issues, because it's continuously a set of issues that we struggle with every single day. And looking across the nation, again, we talked about this last week as well, that across the nation, the homelessness challenges continue to rise. And the cost of housing has increased 700%, while the ability to pay has only increased 14%. And so that's over the last 50 years. So it is a challenge that we have that contributes a lot to the homelessness that we have in this city and other cities across this nation as well. So may I have a motion then to approve the city manager's recommendations?
I'll move to approve the city manager's recommendations. Second the motion, Your Honor.
Okay, it's been probably moved and seconded to approve the city manager's recommendations. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Okay, legislation, please, Ms. McClendon.
Second reading emergency ordinance number 32172-25, amending the city's appropriations for the year 2025 and declaring an emergency. Mayor Mims,
Aye.
Commissioners Joseph,
Aye.
Shaw,
Aye.
Fairchild,
Aye.
First reading ordinance number 32173-25, repealing, amending, and enacting various sections of the revised Code of General Ordinances related to Chapter 151, subdivision regulations. First reading resolution number 6909-25, establishing the fiscal year 2026 rates, fees, and charges for the James M. Cox Dayton International Airport and the Dayton Wright Brothers Airport. That is all, Your Honor.
Okay, so we have a bunch of board appointments, and so we'll let Mr. Joseph kick it off.
I'm not looking at the piece of paper.
I don't
when
have
you
it.
can share
You
it.
have- Okay. Here. Do we just sort of pass this around?
All right, thank you. Your Honor, I move to reappoint Porthia Dennis, Margaret Murray, Jim Walker, and Gloria White to the North Central Priority Land Use Board for a term ending December 31st, 2027.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been probably moved and seconded to support or reappoint Porthia Dennis, Margaret Murray, Jim Walker, and Gloria White to the North Central Priority Land Use Board for a term ending December 31st, 2027. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Okay.
I move to reappoint Yusef El Zane, Matthew Kelly, Joe Michael, Jerry Standard, Deborah Thomas, and Courtney Whitworth to the Northeast Priority Land Use Board for a term ending December 31st, 2027.
And I'll second that.
Okay. All right. So it's been properly moved and seconded to appoint Yusef Hussein, Matthew Kelly, Joe Michael, Jerry Standard, Deborah Thomas, and Courtney Whitworth to the Northeast Priority Land Use Board for a term ending December 31st, 2027. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Okay. Good job. We're just sharing, saving paper up here this evening, everyone.
No, that was it. I'll second
all.
that. That was all.
Yeah, we're good.
All right. Okay. So we have another one. Hold on here. I got you over here, Mr. Shaw.
Oh, on that. He did say a lot, didn't he? Okay, I move to appoint Casey Wade to the Northeast Priority Land Use Board for a term ending December 31, 2027.
Second motion, Your Honor.
Okay, it's been probably moved and seconded to appoint Casey Wade to the Northeast Priority Land Use Board for a term ending December 31st, 2027. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Okay, here we go.
Your Honor, I move to reappoint Ben Abernathy, Kelly Brown, Patrick Cawley, Leah Konecki, Shelley Moran, and Matthew Wolf to the Southeast Priority Land Use Board for a term ending December 31st, 2027.
Second.
Okay, it's been probably moved and seconded to have Kelly Brown, Patrick Colley, Leah Connick, and Shelley Moran, and Matthew Wolf to the Southeast Priority Land Use Board for a term ending December 31st, 2027. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Okay, Commissioner Fairchild, your turn.
All right. I move to appoint Columbus Cotton to the West Priority Land Use Board for a term ending December 31st, 2027.
Second, Your Honor.
Okay, so it's been probably moved and seconded to appoint Columbus Cotton to the West Priority Land Use Board for a term ending December 31st, 2027. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Well, we got some more here. Another page. All right. Yes, sir.
I move to reappoint Edith Jackson, Kenneth Marcellus, Annetta Richardson, and Shirley Williams to the West Priority Land Use Board for a term ending December 31, 2027.
Second motion, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay, it's been probably moved and seconded to appoint or reappoint Edith Jackson, Kenneth Marcellus, Anita Richardson, and Shirley Williams to the West Priority Land Use Board for a term ending December 31st, 2027. All right, Mr. Joseph?
We can do all in favor.
Yeah.
Need all in favor.
Yeah, excuse me. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Thank you.
All right, I move to reappoint Mark Manovich, Stephen Seabolt, and James Wall to the Greater Downtown Priority Land Use Board for a term ending December 31st, 2027.
Second, Your Honor.
Okay. It's been probably moved and seconded to reappoint Mark Manovich, Stephen Seaball, and James Wall to the Greater Downtown Priority Land Use Board for a term ending December 31st, 2027. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Okay.
I've got this one.
Okay.
Are we on 8? Yeah. Are we on 8? Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. I think it's you. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. I move to appoint Amanda Delatel and Christina Mendez to the Welcome Dayton Committee for a term ending December 31, 2028.
Okay.
Second the motion, Your Honor.
Thank you. It's been probably moved and seconded to appoint Amanda Delatel, Christina Mendez to the Welcome Dayton Committee for a term ending December 31st, 2028. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Okay. So now we're ready for a public hearing. Mr. Parlett.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to ask Jen Hanauer, from our Planning, Neighborhoods, and Development Department to walk you through this requested zoning map amendment.
Hi, good evening.
Evening. How are you?
Fine, thanks. How are you?
Good.
All right. So we're going to talk tonight about a car wash that is proposed for 1158 Wilmington Avenue. You have seen this before. Just as a reminder, we were here in August and we were talking about 2 car washes that Flying Ace was bringing forward at 2 different locations. There's one proposed for 2922 Linden Avenue, which was approved by City Commission, moved forward. That final plan went to Plan Board, got approved. They're moving forward on that. The other one for 1158 Wilmington Avenue, City Commission remanded to City Plan Board because there were concerns from the nearby residents about things like noise and traffic. Is this the appropriate location for such a heavy vehicular use? Flying Ace made some changes to their site plan to help account for that noise and redirect it towards Patterson Road as opposed to towards Wilmington and those residential uses. However, the opposition to the application remains strong, both among residents and from the Plan Board, which again recommended denial. The applicant has appealed that decision, and we're bringing it to you this evening to make a decision on whether this goes forward. Now, they are bringing the plan development and the final plan forward tonight. So your decision, if you decide to move forward, there will not be further review of the site plan. What you see tonight would be what it would be. So with that in mind, these are the basics. The request is for the plan development and final plan that would allow for a car wash there at the northeast corner of Wilmington and Patterson. There is an existing plan development in place, PD 087, that was made to accommodate a former Rite Aid that would be removed and replaced with this PD. It is currently zoned E and C, which is Eclectic Neighborhood Commercial. That's kind of one of our mid-range neighborhood commercials. It's typically where we would expect to see pedestrian-oriented development. So it's not something like suburban commercial where you might put, your Meijer or bigger box stores like that. This is meant to be compatible with neighborhoods, with residential uses. It is technically in Belmont, but it's right there at the corner of Patterson Park and Schroyer Park, and it's not in a historic district. So this is our zoning map. The kind of light red color is the ENC, the Eclectic Neighborhood Commercial. The hatched area with the white outline around it is the subject property. And then all that yellow around it is the ER4, Eclectic Single-Family Residential. As you can see, it's just right up against it, just right across Colwick from some residential uses. This is an oblique image looking north. So again, you can see how close those residents are. So we definitely want to be sensitive to that when we're looking at development of this corner. The corner has changed over the years. As much as the city does, it adjusts to what the community needs. This is a Sanborn fire insurance map from 1956, and you can see that, while commercial has always kind of been on the corner, the rest of the block used to be residential, and that changed, and now the whole block is commercial. So you are going to see these changes over the years, depending on the will and want of the community. So this is the big change that you're going to see on this one from the last time we talked about it. If you'll kind of look, I know it's kind of a busy image, but the traffic flow through the building, the Rite Aid building would be adaptively repurposed as an automated car wash. Now, the previous plan had the cars exiting the building on the west side towards Wilmington. So that meant the blowers and a lot of that noise was going to be very easily heard from the residential uses across Colwick. So this new plan proposes to turn the traffic back south, and the cars would exit the building to the south. And that would direct that noise from the blowers and from when the doors open, that would direct that noise down towards Patterson Road, so towards Brighton Strader Square, where that Waffle House is, and direct the sound, away from the residences. That's not to say that this is a quiet use. It is still a car wash, and there are outdoor vacuums. There is music playing, which they would keep to their property, but it's still a heavy vehicular use. But this change does address some of the sound concerns that we had back in August. I know we've been through all this before, but just as a reminder, just some of the basics. It is a 10,000 square foot building, used to be a Rite Aid. It's on, in an acre and a half. Now, while we don't permit car washes in the E and C zoning, we do permit them in other zoning districts, and this would meet the requirements, this site would meet the requirements if it were zoned differently. So, it's on an acre of land. That's good. That's what we'd want to see for a car wash. So it's kind of the best possible setup for if there is a car wash to go here. The hours would be pretty regular, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and then a little shortened on Sundays, and then in the winter when traffic isn't as heavy. So the plan development standards are what we would use to kind of make the rules for the site. What I've highlighted here are the things that are sort of extra that we've put in to make sure that this would be as compatible as possible with the surrounding residential uses if you decide to move it forward. So under permitted uses, we would add a car wash to that. They're not typically permitted in E and C. We would continue to allow all of the uses that are permitted in E and C, but with the addition of a car wash. Typically, we would allow a little more lot coverage, a little more paved surface of an area, but in wanting to have some distance between this use and the residential, we would want to keep it at the 50% coverage, which is about what it's at now. So not allowing them to pave more surface, keeping more of that green space. We would want to see a minimum of 24 off-street parking spaces, as they have depicted on the plan. As part of the plan development, we'd have those big pylon signs removed and replaced with a monument sign, which is more in line with what we'd want to see with new development today. And you'll see examples of that all down Wilmington Avenue, that new Waffle House, the storage. Landscaping, we would be asking for a masonry wall on the north side of the building. And again, that would be to help with the sound. Now, since you saw it in August, the site plan has changed. The zoning administrator would account for that when approving the plans and issuing the zoning permits. Sidewalks, we do want to see pedestrian access from the public sidewalk to the primary structure. Again, this is a vehicular use. We still want to see some pedestrian access in this pedestrian area. Another reminder, they did do a traffic study, and the big takeaway from that is that there's a lot of traffic here. And on Patterson Road, the city probably needs to consider adding a turn lane to turn north onto Revere for the eastbound traffic. our Public Works agrees with that. And these are some of the public comments that we've received. Very similar to what you saw last time. We have had a few more residents either write in or call in with their opposition. Things that they're worried about continue to be noise and traffic. Really just the having such a heavy use at this corner. There's concern for the residents of Lakewood, the assisted living home that's just north of this property. There's a lot of pedestrian traffic from residents of Lakewood coming down to Brighton Strader Square, where those amenities like the pharmacy and the grocery are, and a lot of them using assistive devices. We do have several entities in support of this project, specifically the Belmont Community Council and the Patterson Park Civic Association. While individuals from Patterson Park have voiced their concerns about this, the association has voiced their support. And there are benefits to activating a vacant building like this. The improved landscaping, the maintenance of the property. I don't know if you've had a chance to go by there recently, but it has become quite the tableau of artistic rendition graffiti. So to have an active tenant in here, there would be some benefits to that. This is just a reminder of our public process that we've been through. This has been reviewed by Southeast Land Use Board back in May, and they voted 3-1 to recommend approval. They did receive the new plans and were able to comment via email. Didn't get many additional comments there. As a reminder, I did get feedback from other municipalities who have this kind of setup, a car wash immediately adjacent to residential. We don't have any like that in our area, but there are other areas where they have used this concept, specifically in Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Toledo, and Detroit. I went to visit the sites in Toledo and Detroit, and they were loud. And the residents that I was able to talk to, they do not like living next to the car wash. But from the municipalities, I heard nothing but good things. They're well-maintained properties. They're good property owners. This is a good business. There's kind of things on both sides of this. So good luck to you making your decision. Anyway, so it went to Plan Board in June. They recommended denial. It came to you in August, remanded to Plan Board, and Plan Board heard it again in October and again recommended denial. So we're here today. So I was thinking about what you all would need to consider when making this decision tonight. And there are a lot of things that you need to weigh, not least of all are residents' concerns and not wanting this near their homes. But you also have to think about, the vacant buildings in Dayton. We have plenty. We'd like to see those filled. We'd like to see those reactivated. I went around and took a look at some former pharmacies in the Dayton area that have had other uses activate them. That one on the left was a former Revco. Remembers Revco from the 90s? And then it became a CVS, and now it's a career prep high school. That's up there on North Main Street. In South Park, we have Oak Street Health, and it was a Rite Aid, then it was a Dollar General, and now it's a health facility. And most recently, we have out on East 3rd Street in Burkhart, the Adasa family. It's a local market chain based in Columbus, Ohio. They've purchased that building and received their zoning permit and plan to open a Latin market there. So there are other uses for these former pharmacy buildings that might be more compatible with residential uses nearby. So I just wanted to give you some examples. I went out in the snow and I got those pictures. Beautiful Ohio landscape. These are your options for this evening. Since it was recommended denial, it would need all four of you to agree to move forward with the first reading. Then you can also determine to not proceed with the first reading, which would be a de facto denial. While there is the option for you to remand it again to Plan Board, staff would like to express that don't know that there are further revisions that could be made that would move the needle on community or Plan Board support. But that is an option for you. So yes, I'm happy to take any questions. We do have a representative for the applicant here this evening, and I know we have some community members registered to speak.
Okay. So before we ask questions, the individuals who are here to speak for or against it, we'd like to hear from them as well.
Yes, sir. There are 6 citizens registered to speak. I would like to state that there is a 3-minute time limit as you address, oh wait, this is not for, okay, excuse me. I would like to state that there is a 3-minute time limit as you address the commission. We ask that you state your name and address for the record. At that time, I will turn on the green light. When the green light comes on, you will have 3 minutes to speak. After you have spoken 2.5 minutes, a yellow light will come on. You will have 30 seconds remaining to speak. When the red light comes on, you will be asked to cease your comments and to take your seat. To the audience in attendance, please be mindful this is a business meeting, and we kindly request that during this portion of the meeting, you refrain from any hand clapping, finger snapping, and conversation that would prevent the City Commission from hearing the speaker's comments. I call to the podium Eileen Comerford.
Hi, everyone.
Good evening.
Name and address for the record.
Eileen Comerford, 952 Croydon Drive, Dayton, Ohio, 45420. I'm opposed to the car wash, along with many of my neighbors who are here today. We've come to these meetings before and expressed our opposition to this car wash in our neighborhood. A lot of folks have talked about noise and traffic. I agree with those complaints, but I'm more concerned with just the general lack of community, community that it would bring. I think this is zoned ENC for a reason, because we're in a residential area where there's a lot of pedestrian activity and folks want to get together with each other. Updating that zoning to allow for a car wash kind of defeats that purpose. It keeps everybody in their cars, not conversing with each other, not having any human interaction, and it focuses on vehicles as opposed to humans. I love the suggestions that Ms. Hanauer pointed out. Food, education, health, these are all things that our community would benefit from, and I know my neighbors would appreciate way more than a car wash. Yeah, I think you all know all the other reasons that we don't support this. I understand that having a vacant building is not ideal. We don't want that either. We don't like the litter or the graffiti. But I don't think the solution is to implement a business that, is going to be really successful for a long time, and we won't have an opportunity to put something that really benefits our community in there for a long time after that. This feels like a golden opportunity to turn it into something that we really want, even though we don't have anything for that to be right now. That's all I got.
Thank you.
I call to the podium Steve Dilhoff.
My name's Steve Dilhoff, 714 Greenmount Boulevard, Dayton, 45419.
Good evening.
Good evening. Mayor, Commissioners, thank you for your time. I'm here to speak out with the proposal for the Flying Ace Car Wash to occupy the former Rite Aid building. While I'm not their target market, as I'm not a big car wash guy, as it seemed by my car out front, I'm deeply invested in the neighborhood where I lived, and I've been a resident here for nearly 20 years and serve as the president of the Patterson Park Civic Association. The former Rite Aid is currently surrounded by many vacant properties. The old Pony Keg's been closed and empty for about 5 years. The former hookah bar and wing restaurant has been boarded up for nearly 2 years after a fire. There's 2 vacant properties in Brighton Strader Square, and the Rite Aid building itself has been vacant for almost 3 years. These empty buildings are attracting graffiti, break-ins, and draining city resources. Despite repeated reports, conditions continue to deteriorate, as mentioned by the graffiti earlier. And according to county records, the Rite Aid property is delinquent in taxes by over $71,000, with the last payment being made July of 2023. Now we have a business willing to invest significantly into this property, almost $4 million, creating construction and landscape jobs, ongoing employment, and generating tax revenue for the city and the county. Currently, these properties are a net negative for our community, and this project would turn that into a net positive. While not everyone may agree with the idea, unanimous agreement is rare. And just like with elections, we don't need 100% of support. Conditions about the occasional spike in traffic on days like today after a snow and a warm-up are understandable, but they're temporary, and similar to seasonal surges at Honey Baked Ham and Mother's Day gifts at restaurants, the other 365 days this business will provide services, jobs, and tax contributions instead of vacancy and vandalism. If we had a business compelling for locations, as some of the other ones are, we could afford to be selective, but right now we have rampant vacancies. If we reject this proposal, how long will it be before these properties get filled? And how much longer are we going to be allowed to have these resources be drained? And at what point will this business be on the nuisance list and become a bigger problem than what it is already and cost more? Thank you for considering what I believe is to be a practical step for our community. On a side note, and we're in an ENC thing as it's been mentioned, but we have a church, a hardware store, a storage unit, multiple banks, and a couple bars in there too. So we've already got other businesses in that area. So while it is a residential, the residents have cars and they need to be washed also. And I honestly am not their target market. And if we had something else coming in that said, I want to be here, then we'd have I think more alternatives. But right now, we've got one thing that's coming in there. We got Rite Aids and CVS is emptying all over the place. And they're going to pick a place to go. And Flying Ace is willing to invest in our community, invest in our neighborhoods. And from what I've heard, and I got one down at my office, the first one in Washington Township, I go to the Bob Evans, we have conversations in the front yard, and it's no more noisy than what the traffic going by is. And so I would just say that, I don't disagree they're going to make a little noise, but compared to other things, I think that it's a risk worth taking. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments.
I call to the podium Richard Stevens.
Good evening. I'm Richard Stevens. I'm here speaking on behalf of my sister.
Address for the record.
Pardon?
Name and address for.
Oh, yeah. Richard Stevens, 925 Colwick Drive, Dayton, Ohio, 45420. I'm here speaking on behalf of my sister, who's back there. And I currently should be at a Rotary party. Our holiday party's tonight, so it's a direct, but I thought this was really important. We've done this like 4 times now, and I really would hate to see this not go to where it needs to go. So this residential area is just not a good location for a Flying Ace car wash or any car wash due to the nature of their business. As I've stated many times during these planning and city council meetings, it's an attempt to disrupt the current community and the neighborhood there. No one would desire a large car wash being right across the street from them. And it's right now currently a relatively quiet, peaceful setting. Just today I went by, because I'm a customer of Flying Ace, and I went by another one. It was backed up over by Dorothy Lane and Walmart all the way out onto stopping traffic on Dorothy Lane. Had a buddy send me a picture from one over at CJ, the same kind of a thing over in the Beaver Creek area. And yes, that goes in cycles, but it happens, and in the winter you're going to have a lot of cars going through, especially with their unlimited stuff. This past Sunday's Dayton Daily News, I saw the Council of Huber Heights recently placed a 1-year moratorium on such automotive services businesses due to the huge influx of rapid development for which their zoning codes were not prepared. So whatever business eventually replaces the Rite Aid, it should not be one that disrupts the residents' current quality of life. That's very important. And that's exactly what this would do. It would upset that current quality of life. Had such an establishment been there when we were looking for her home, we would have looked elsewhere. We would have not bought on that street or in that immediate community. So in closing, the combination of excessive noise, dangerous traffic, and the negative impact to our neighborhood property values, we're firmly against seeing this misaligned property development move forward. The previous Rite Aid was much more in line with what could be considered a good fit for the residents, and the city of Dayton should still continue to pursue a solution with that goal in mind. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments.
I call to the podium Raymond Leibold.
Hello.
Good evening.
Raymond Leibold, 913 Colwick Drive, Dayton, Ohio, 45420. I live right across the street from the parking lot, Rite Aid. 100 feet to my driveway, 150 feet to my front porch, and about 200 feet to my chair where I watch television. I've been retired 9 years, and I never dreamed that I would have a car wash right that close to my television so I can enjoy my retirement years. I've lived at 913 Colwick Drive for 52 years, and I'm totally against it. The street is very narrow on Colwick. Traffic's going to back up. It's going to back up on Revere. This is not really a good place for a car wash, and it really would disrupt my life. I'm hoping to live quite a while longer, and I think 100 to 200 feet is really too close to put a car wash, no matter what the direction they direct the traffic out of. It's just too close. My 83-year-old neighbor loves to look out at the intersection, and that would be all gone if they start putting up walls and trees and everything. So I'm totally against it, and I'm hoping you take that in consideration. I've been there 52 years. I don't need a car wash 200 feet from my television. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your comments.
I call to the podium Joe Bertucci.
Tony Kroger, Planning Division Manager. It's customary and normal for the applicant to be able to present after staff has presented and not be subject to the 3-minute time as if they're just a member of the public. So my suggestion is, now that I believe all the public has otherwise been able to speak, that the applicant now do their prepared remarks and not be subject to 3 minutes as if they're not the applicant. So
Correct.
my suggestion is...
She had mentioned there were
Yeah.
six, and we've heard from four so far.
Oh, he was one of the six?
He was
Okay,
the sixth.
got it.
I think it's the team.
Been five.
So there's
We're
no,
on five now.
Yeah.
so is he fifth or sixth?
Yes, they're both part of the applicant team.
Got it.
Good.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor Mims, Commissioner.
Good evening.
I heard somebody say they've been here 4 times. I've been through this process 8 times because we went to plan boards and all those other kind of stuff. So let's hope we get this resolved tonight, one way or another. But when we were last here, as you know, we had a plan, and this commission was pretty clear. You wanted to see it back again. I took it as being intrigued in the idea of what we were proposing. I had a handout. I don't know if you guys have it with the graphics and such like that. So we did fully address what was discussed. We did some significant engineering. Yes, sir. We did change the drive so that the cars do not exit to the west anymore. They come out and they make that turn. There was a concern that cars would be on Colwick Drive waiting to turn onto Wilmington. We moved that to address that. In addition to those things, we have, as you know, we remove the pylon signs. We're making it more walkable by getting rid of the curb cut on Patterson. We are installing trees, the landscaping. $4 million investment is a significant investment. Somebody asked last time about other figures. 11 to 15 employees is what we anticipate, $300,000 to $400,000 of anticipated payroll. As been made known, we have an engaged operator. We have, as one of the opponents said, we don't want to give this use to somebody who's going to be there a long time. Yeah, we're going to be there a long time, and we are known as being a good neighbor, a good corporate citizen, somebody who gives back, someone who takes care of the property. You're going to be no longer looking at graffiti. You're not going to be looking at a parking lot. You're going to be looking, as you can see by those drawings, it's going to be well landscaped. It's going to be bright building. It's going to look good. We have we've been here before. You guys heard it before, but I just wanted to reiterate the traffic study said that this is the traffic study submitted and accepted by the city. Minimal impact. The amount of cars that go to a Rite Aid are approximately 500 in, 500 out a day. And that's at a Rite Aid. And that's every day, not just on peak days. So, when we talk about, there's going to be a lot of traffic concerns, that's not showing up on the record of, from those people who study traffic. The noise level, the ambient noise on a good time, up where the residents are, is about 70 decibels, which all that stuff has been submitted in the record somewhere. 90 at the peak. We have shifted just about all our noisemakers. The only thing that's still out there, if you will, that's by the residents is the hand vacuums for the car. That is approximately 200 feet from his living room. And those have the car vacuums are about 60 decibels after 80 feet. So that's lower than the current ambient noise. So, traffic, heavy use. It's not substantiated. There's a lot of noise, not substantiated. There's a lot of investment, that's substantiated. So we are very hopeful that we gave you what you were looking for this, and that you would consider it. We do have the vice president of the company. He's registered to speak as well, and I'd like to bring him up to see if he had anything additional to add, and we, of course, will gladly answer any of your questions.
Thank you.
My name's Joe Bertucci, 13375 National Road, Southwest, Etna, Ohio, 43068. And just for clarification, I'm VP of Development, not of the company. Don't want that getting out. A lot has been spoken. Hopefully you've had the opportunity to look at the changes that we've made. We took your comments from our last meeting, and I think we've, hopefully you feel that we've gone above and beyond in making those changes. I just want to address some of the things, and I do appreciate those comments. It made it a better site, and it made it a better site for the residents in the surrounding area. And through some of the comments that I've heard, markets change, right? The right has been there for years, and we see now, and I say markets change, well, customer behaviors change, and that creates the market. And customer behavior today is individuals like to be in their vehicles. That's why you see fast casual restaurants a la Chipotle with a drive-through, where in the old days you would go and sit down in a restaurant, and you still have that. But there is a preponderance of individuals who stay in their vehicles for coffee instead of going into an old diner. I love an old diner. But a vast majority of people stay in their vehicles and go through a drive-through like a Tim Hortons across the street. Heavy vehicle use. And because people drive more and are in their vehicles more, we see traffic counts of almost 19,000 and change, 20,000 vehicles on Wilmington Avenue, and almost 10,000 on Patterson. And so when you look at that just from a real estate perspective, that is a heavy vehicle intersection, heavy vehicle traveled intersection. And I love walking myself, riding a bike. That's why the sidewalks are there. And as far as safety, we have to trust that individuals are going to abide by the laws of the city. We put every safety factor we do on our site as far as controls as you would on a street, stop signs, that control the vehicle traffic. But I do understand there are residential houses here, and when I saw the zoning map, it is also surrounded by commercial retail. You do have banks, you do have drive-throughs, coffee shops, you do have a grocery store across the street. So there are retail uses, and the Tim Hortons, I would suggest, is there because of the traffic counts. That is what's going to draw a user like ourselves, because we don't generate traffic. We're not bringing people to an area as a car wash. We get you going to and from work. We get you to and from school. You're shopping when you go out and about. So I suggest that when you do drive, and because of our membership model, you could have people from outside the area who would normally breeze through. Of the 20,000 cars on Wilmington, they may stop and they may look at the Waffle House next door or the Tim Hortons and then frequent that business in this local community. Those things happen. You create a synergy of businesses who are successful, and they're coming through the area, and now we give them a pause, right? It's sort of a self-filter of, hey, they stop to wash their car, they get out. You can have our staff engage in customers in the back lots. Customers talk to each other. You do have, obviously, the locals frequent the car wash. There is interaction in our back lots. I've done it myself. grand openings, soft openings. It's such a fun opportunity to actually engage with people. I have no idea who they are. I just go up and start talking to them. The most interesting conversations, and that happens. That's a real thing. And we do pride ourselves on being part of the community. We are not a business who just wants to make money, get in and get out. We hire locally. We promote locally. We have more development coming into Dayton. God willing, those get approved. And that growth is upward mobility here locally in Dayton, going from a team member to an assistant site manager to a site manager running a car wash, and then becoming an area manager and managing 4 or 5 locations. That is real. That happens every single month. We're going to open up 4 new locations as a company here just in the next 2 weeks. We're not a sort of, I'll call it a mom and pop car wash. There's nothing wrong with that, but we're going to be over 130 locations here in the next 2 weeks. That's a substantial business. We're very proud of that, and so that's sustaining power. That means we can be there, and we hope to be in a location a long time because that means we're successful, and we're creating jobs, and we're creating tax revenue, money. We are contributing to local nonprofits, communities. We partner consistently at our grand opening and throughout the year through quarterly sales of air fresheners, our Blue Towel program, which always goes to nonprofits. That is money that gets directly into the community. That is not the surrounding area. It is literally in the city that those nonprofits benefit. And specifically, we try to sponsor those that help unfortunate children, who don't have the opportunities. We want to break that cycle. And we think that is very important. And that is a core principle of our business. As far as the vehicles, you could step on any site in Dayton and it will not have the stacking that this location will have. This will have 47 vehicles stacking out to Colwick and 48, it's all one, but if you total one out to the east or one out to the north, it's either 47 or 48 vehicles can sit on our site, not including the vehicles in the car wash, which you can fit approximately 6. So you are over 50 vehicles. Literally over 50 people could show up at the same time and it would not spill out onto the street. That is unheard of as far as stacking. The exits to the building have been moved to face south, as you've heard. As soon as you go around the corner, we've moved it essentially almost 180 degrees. You will not hear the tunnel exit. The building in itself acts as a buffer. We plan on adding additional landscaping, which we think the residents would like to make it, to beautify the area even more. We're adding substantial amount of landscaping on the south side with Patterson. So we're not content, as most users you would see, if there was someone interested in this location, and I did verify there is no one interested in this location currently behind us. It's been almost 3 years. And so if the city could select businesses, hey, I wouldn't even be here in front of you, obviously. But you have private ownership, you have delinquent taxes. There's a reason why those taxes are delinquent. They need someone, they need a profitable business who can come in and pay those taxes for them. And so I think we've addressed traffic-wise, the professional engineers, and I believe it because we don't have a stack lane, I think, this big in our company. I don't believe we do. Don't quote me on that, but we're pretty darn close to being the largest stack that we have. So to be able to accommodate any type of peak hour, this is the ideal stack you would want for a car wash. And we are top-notch in operations. We are hands down the best car wash operator in the markets we operate. And so that goes to efficiency of how we run our car wash and be able to get customers in and out safely. The sound, the ambient sound is a real thing. When trucks go by, motorcycles go by, that is a real thing. And because we're directing our sound south on Patterson, in this instance, I understand staff did visit sites. And sure, if you go stand outside of an exit of a tunnel of a car wash, it is going to be loud. But if you went and stood on Colwick and you had that same car wash with no overhead door, meaning the entrance or exit to the tunnel facing Colwick, you will not hear that same sound. So I just want to make sure we're comparing apples to apples when we're talking about sound and traffic. And I'll reiterate, because we are a car wash, people don't get out of their vehicles. It's perceived as having more traffic on the site because that's all you see are cars coming and going. Whereas a Rite Aid will have more traffic throughout the day, but people get out, go inside, and come out, and go back to their car. So you don't see that flow. In the peak, I'm talking about the peak hours is when you see it. Any other time, you won't even know there's a car in the stack lane if you live on Colwick. It's so efficient, and plus the stack is on the south side, you don't even see it. It's designed that way. And we will absolutely do our best to screen, including, I'm not sure if it's a masonry wall, vinyl wall, but we've done decorative walls to help screen for privacy. And then the vacuums, just to be clear, the vacuum producer is what creates the sound, the majority of the sound for the vacuums. That is on the south side at the intersection of Wilmington and Patterson. It's been moved to the furthest point away that we could. I think that addresses what I want to as far as the market changes, and I do appreciate the opportunity, and hopefully you find us a valuable business to be in Dayton here. Thank you.
Okay.
I welcome any questions.
Okay. Questions? Commissioner Fairchild.
Yeah, the question around for the owner there on the outdoor vacuums. Where are they located?
They would be along the parking curb along Wilmington Ave, and then just slightly, there's a few vacuums right around along Patterson there, just kind of L-shaped around. Can use this. Oh, yeah. Oh, perfect. Yeah, so you could see along Wilmington, you've got the kind of perpendicular to Patterson, and then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vacuum spaces that angle along Wilmington. The rest would be inside the building. That entire area that you see south of the building and L shapes around is all grass. That is all landscape area. So we're taking the sea of asphalt and turning it into, it truly will be like the gem on that street. So I did drive it myself. I did notice the vacancies. I noticed the conditions of the surrounding buildings. This will stand out, and this is a predominant intersection in this community. It will be like an oasis. It'll be the most beautiful property, and the key is we keep it that way. You can go to our first car wash we ever built, and it looks the same way the day we built it.
And what's the peak number of cars that would come through per hour?
Yeah, so peak is typically, our biggest peak is around sort of that 4 to 6 o'clock hour. Everything else kind of percolates throughout the day. And it does vary based upon location. This site is going to be dependent upon the residential customers surrounding it and the traffic. Where typically we have all three, meaning we have retail surrounding us, regional retail, true commercial corridor retail, along with the traffic and the residential. So even though we have the largest stack we're probably going to build, we are not anticipating this to be one of the heaviest uses car wash that we have. That was bad English, but it's hard for me to give you an exact number, and then this site does something we don't think it does. Maybe it does half the business I think it does, and either way I'm wrong on the record. So I can tell you that on the record, this stack can handle the peak. So I'll give you an example. I do have a site that I know, and I'm not an engineer, but the engineer report was, I had a site that had 24 vehicles in the stack. We could process 144 vehicles in an hour before it would go beyond the 24 vehicle stack, meaning we would be on our site, self-encompassed, and not affect the right-of-way, the road, the public road. We could process 144 vehicles in an hour with just a 24 vehicle stack. That is a super hour. Like that is like everything stars align, right? Salt day, retail around us, all things align. And I just don't see that at this site for a peak hour. But even if it did, this site could still handle it and would not back out onto Colwick.
The capacity of the car wash.
Yeah.
Is it 144 or 200 or?
It's so it's 140 vehicles per hour is the conveyor speed.
Okay.
That is adjustable. I think they go down to 120 to 130. Thanks for reminding me. That analysis was done at 130 vehicles per hour, even though we run at 140 vehicles per hour. So it was to be conservative intentionally to have room for additional capacity beyond the 144 vehicles that we could process. This is double that.
Well, the stack is, but the question is like, what's the capacity of it moving through? But if I hear you correctly, you're saying the cars won't queue up out onto the street.
Correct.
But I'm trying to get a sense of like how many cars are going to come through it. You have a business model there, I guess. For the business, I'm not going to hold you anything, but for the business model, what's the kind of anticipated?
Yeah, I would say this one, if I was going to estimate, would be somewhere between 80 and 100 at the peak.
Okay.
And then you'll see like 30 or 40 as it dwindles, and then you get down to 10 to 15 in some hours, and some down to 5. Early hours, first opening, like 5 vehicles, and then kind of late morning, you may get like 20 or 30. But again, it's all self-contained. And then this call it the peak in the evening, probably 80 to 100.
I got a couple questions for staff. There wasn't a report out on the rationale of the planning board and the fact that it was a unanimous, this is a tough situation because I think we have really responsible business owners coming and look to be partners with us in the city. And I really appreciate the work you've done to try to make this site work. We also have our zoning laws, and we have a process. And so we're coming to a place asking the commission to do something very exceptional, which is to overturn our planning board. And so I'm trying to figure out the rationale that the planning board had, and if there's any criteria that guides us in terms of overturning the planning board, like what cases would we anticipate in this appeal process?
I'm sorry, can you say that again? What cases would you anticipate?
So this is the appeal to a decision that was made at the planning board.
Yes.
And I'm trying to understand if something comes as an appeal, what's the criteria for this board to appeal something that's already been decided at the planning board?
Sure. They have the
Yeah, so this being a legislative body, you're using your judgment and discretion. If I were giving advice on the things that you would look at, I would look at the standards that the planning board looked at for a potential rezoning, and without going through all 7 of them, you're going to look at the potential impact on surrounding areas. How does it comport with future plans for the corridor? What's the overall impact, either from a land use standpoint or impact on the neighbors? So you're really just, determining can these standards be met that a board would typically look at, and that's really going to be about impact on the surrounding area and what are the benefits. So those are really what you'd be thinking about. I think if I were evaluating this and thinking, well, what would I be looking at to overturn essentially a plan board recommendation?
Right.
And if you did want to understand maybe their thought process a little bit, we could look at the rationale for recommending approval for the other Flying Ace location over on Linden Avenue. These sites are so similar, roughly the same size, located in the same zoning district. That one was also ENC. That one was also adjacent to residential. But there were just enough nuanced differences and a different kind of support from the community that Plan Board ultimately, that tipped them towards recommending approval on that one, and those same criteria push them towards recommending denial for this one. So it is a very fine line that you're being asked to walk, that they walk, in deciding what is going to work for the community and what isn't. And it is very site-based. There is a set of rules, but you have to apply those individually to each case. So you have to look at this one separately from that one and see what will work and what won't. So I don't know if you like that answer.
What also, and then there's a broader question around zoning laws in general, which is, it's really giving potential business owners directions. When these business owners, looked at this, they would have known that this wasn't an approved use. We've gone a long way down knowing that it wasn't an approved use. And then, other property owners make investments and investment decisions on those zoning laws. based on what's allowed and not allowed, right? There might have been a owner who wanted to put something, or a prospective business owner say, oh, if you're going to allow that, I might have considered investing there.
Well, and that's why we have this process to allow for exceptions to the rules, or, okay, we don't want, and why we have those plan development standards to keep things, okay, if we allow this, that doesn't mean we're opening the door for every unwanted use to come into this location. There would still be those plan development standards that we walk through, that would keep that site from, having more lot coverage, from having more parking, or any of those things that we might not want to see in that. It's making it kind of setting up rules for this individual site, what will work best. And I think what we've presented you with tonight is probably the best option for having if you're going to have a car wash at the corner, these are the rules we'd like to set up to make that happen. I don't know if that helps either.
But even with the zoning laws, I mean, it gives that guidance. And so I invest in a property adjacent to this, not expecting it to be a car wash. I've made a decision. I've made an investment. But now
right.
we
And
can't trust the zoning laws, because now we come back and we're...
Wouldn't that be a surprise if suddenly the property next to your house that was not zoned to allow for a car wash, if the city changed that rule and is now allowing for a car wash, and you didn't have any part in that when you bought your home. So I mean, that is the kind of thing that we need to consider. And at the location on Linden, residents were like, nope, great, this is a great reuse of the property, we want this here, great, we will set up some rules, we'll make this the best possible fit, and that's what's happening there on Linden. But this site's a little different, the residents are different, have different needs, so we're having to consider that with this one.
Yeah. I guess this is back to the company. One of the things that I really appreciate was Mr. Dilhoff's comments talking about and this is a site that I'm familiar with because I grew up in this neighborhood, and my daughter and I were at Tim Hortons the other day, and recognizing the pony kegs vacant, some of those other spots are vacant. What is the plan for some of that development, and what are our efforts, and is there a way that the new owners might be a part of activating that whole corner? I guess it's for both. I mean, my question is, what's the staff plan? And then the question is, as a new owner in that property, would you be interested in trying to help activate those other vacant properties?
I'll go first because my answer's shorter.
What's that?
My answer's shorter.
Okay.
So I think by creating the makeover change that will occur at this property will be sort of a beacon, right, to businesses. When you drive through a corridor and you see nice developed properties, you end up wanting to be a part of that. Some businesses aren't built to be the spearhead of that. And we are, just because of the confluence of vehicles and the density of people. So we can be that steward to change this property and jumpstart it. And it will be a significant, noticeable change. We also do partner with local businesses around us, and whether that is promoting their business on sort of grand openings, we've had companies adjacent to us come to our grand openings, or we support them, and then you have gift vouchers and any type of community events that the city has, we partner up. There are very creative ways, probably outside of my mind, my real estate mind. If I was in marketing, I could give you 1,000 things that we could do. But I do know that we partner with local business. We want Tim Hortons to be successful and draw people into the area, and then they look across the street and say, my car needs cleaned. Yes, you're going to the best car wash in the city, and we happen to be here. Please come visit us too. Or you come have a car wash, you come out, face Patterson, you make a right, and you see Tim Hortons, go, you know what, I could use another coffee. I'm going to drive across, and I'm going to go to Tim Hortons now. That is the synergy that creates when you bring a vibrant business into the corridor, and we would partner with them. And I don't know what that means, but definitely would, through communications, work together to build each other up.
That is, in fact, not a shorter answer than the one I'll give. We intend to support property owners with the zoning that they have, whether it be ENC or mature neighborhood commercial or whatever it is. There are vacant buildings in this general vicinity, but there's a lot of occupied buildings too. I think, I don't want to get too far off here, that there happens to be some vacant buildings here. Brighton Strader Square is a legitimate shopping center. Waffle House is new. Giannino's is new. That storage facility is fairly new. So it's not as if you're in a ghost town here. But we will continue to support property owners to the best of our ability, whether it's looking at zoning variances or supporting them with proper guidance with the zoning they have.
Commissioner, could I follow up with a question for Tony while he's there, Mayor?
Yep.
Along the same line?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Along that same line, when we last did a big rewrite of the zoning code, we created smaller business districts and better defined them. In that spirit, does this, I mean, do you envision this, maybe setting aside the current question, do you envision this as a district that will grow as a business district? Or is this something that maybe our planners would rather see revert back to a more walkable, more neighborhood type, more typical ENC district?
Yeah, I mean, it's zoned ENC because we envision it as, or certainly when it was designated as eclectic neighborhood commercial in 2006, it was not seen as probably desiring a 100% automobile use. But it's acknowledging that it's not necessarily the Oregon district or the Belmont Business District, but it's not necessarily envisioning the auto uses as well.
And given, I mean, 20 years have passed, which is crazy since the last zoning rewrite, but the changes, have the changes there that you've seen, have they changed that opinion? I mean, it was 20 years ago it was an EDNC. Just in your own opinion, I know I'm asking an opinion, it's difficult, but have the changes and the increased traffic and the changes in the neighborhood, would they merit a change if we were redoing the zoning code now to something other than that?
If we,
just your opinion. I'm not going to hold you to it.
Right. If I were managing a new zoning code rewrite, we would probably believe that eclectic neighborhood commercial was the right zoning district.
Thank you, and thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah, that's all my questions.
You good, Commissioner Shaw?
Yeah, this is a tough one. I'm a customer. I go there often, unlike some of the other folks that commented. I go there regularly, and I'm all over the city, so I go to a great many of your facilities daily, sometimes twice a day. And I've never seen any of them back up onto the street. And even yesterday when I was there after, the salt and then the sun comes out, everybody wants to go. That was probably the most crowded I've ever seen two of the ones that I went to, both yesterday and today, but still not backing up on the street. Having said that, what I'm most interested in, I will ask Tony to come back up, please. And I think Commissioner Joseph was going to this, and this is a tough one for you to answer, I know. But in your opinion, I don't even know how to phrase this properly. You would consider, would you or would you not consider this a growth opportunity for the neighborhood? Or there are some neighborhoods that are declining? Would you consider this one as rising for opportunity in terms of small businesses are concerned, eclectic businesses or otherwise?
This particular site?
This particular site. And yes, this particular site in particular, but the surrounding area. What I'm trying to get at is, what I don't want to see is a Rite Aid that deteriorates and sits there for another 3 or however many years with graffiti and everything that comes with that. But in your opinion, are there folks that are interested? I know that it sounds like you don't have any contracts on this, obviously, but or you wouldn't have them. But are there the opportunities that you are looking at? Or I guess
that's up to the property owner to say. But to best address your question, I would say that, yes, I believe that Belmont, Patterson Park, Schroyer Park are stable, quality neighborhoods that can support a variety of businesses. And then I would also reference Jen's impressive slide that shows that in other parts of the city that may even not be as stable as a Patterson Park, Belmont, we've seen drugstores reused as other things. Every city has seen it.
Yeah.
So that's for you to consider that versus the impact and all that.
Right. I think I got everything that I need to know about the sound remediation. I think that what you all have done in those spaces are adequate. I mean, you went back and you changed some things around and did that work. I appreciate your questions, both of your questions as it relates to that. How, now I'm going to density. How far away is your next closest facility?
The two closest, Moraine, is it Moraine, and then
Is it Moraine?
Moraine is like south. That would be like the closest.
Meyer and Carey.
That's right.
Yeah, and then Riverside Airway Shopping Center to the east. So those are the two closest.
Well, that's
And that's significant distance.
yeah, and that's one of, and I did hear you when I'm sure it does make a difference when you have big anchor stores that are also. So I go to the one at Airway, but also the Walmart near 70, where there's a Walmart there, so everything that comes with that, and even with that, I don't see a whole lot of traffic. But so this is zoned now, Tony, for a more eclectic use of the spaces around there. I mean, the idea when this was zoned, be it 20 years ago, the idea is that you would have smaller businesses to populate that and to kind of grow and be more neighborhood based. Is that an accurate portrayal? This is for you, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's not necessarily about the size of the business or the building itself. It's more about the land use and how it operates. So it would typically, the zoning district preclude a 100% automobile-dependent business and probably be more oriented towards, say, restaurant, retail, or service.
Okay, that's all I have for now. Thanks.
Difficult. Yeah, I was at the location today, Dorothy Lane and South Dixie, at the Walmart location. And again, I'm a frequent customer as well as these processes. Trying to balance the situation, of course, as all of us here are, and looking at continuing the growth of more and more businesses coming to the city of Dayton in all parts of the city, which is very critical and beneficial for us. At the same time, trying to find a way to make sure that the citizens are not inconvenienced to a great extent. We know sometimes this is just going to happen. And so I'm not exactly sure where we are in terms of addressing that. But of course, I think our questions have been asked. And
I probably have a couple more.
You got more?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Joseph, go ahead.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Mayor. First, I want to say I ran into Kathy Emmers, the president of Belmont Eastmont Hearthstone, who's here. She got stuck on the highway and didn't make it in time to make a comment. She asked me to say that she's in favor of the development. So, and I know that Belmont Eastmont Hearthstone Community Council voted overwhelmingly in favor of it to endorse it. So it's one of those rare cases where we say we like to listen to the neighbors and the residents, and whichever way we go here, we're going to be making some residents mad. So it's not a normal situation for us, because usually we go with whatever the residents would like us to do. I just want to say that as I approach this, I live right there. Like I said the last hearing, so I'm a Belmont resident. I live there. I drive this intersection every day, sometimes 5 times. I agree with Commissioner that the noise concerns and traffic concerns I'm less worried about, because it is a noisy intersection. And with the reconfiguration that you've built, it pushes the noise in a direction right out toward the intersection. So I think it's probably as good as it can be with the wall you've built, with the traffic patterns that you've built. Traffic study came back and said that there might need to be a left turn lane from Patterson onto Revere. I can tell you emphatically there needs to be a left turn lane onto Revere even now. People weave around there in funny ways, and it's a very wide road. So if nothing else, we have that in a study. It needs to happen. But you made the adjustments that are necessary. This would be getting rid of an eyesore. I've been getting emails and phone calls about the graffiti on Rite Aid, and I see it every day because I go by every day, and it annoys me every day. In the summertime, there was brush growing up. Bushes were overgrown. It is an eyesore. There's trash piled up. There was a mattress back there the other day. There's other crap on the Colwick side of the lot where the dumpsters used to be. And after years of seeing it, and frankly, my experience over these years with other lots like this, where we had a chance to develop it but didn't, they ended up being eyesores and ended up costing us more in the long run. Not only in demolition costs eventually, but in picking up trash and time and it wasn't great. So what I'm trying to balance here is, what are the odds of a different use, more in line with ENC, more in line with what the neighborhood would like to see, coming along in the, we'll say medium term, doesn't have to be next month or the 6 months, but within a year or 2 or 3, it's going to start piling up, and it's not good for the neighborhood to have an abandoned property like that. It is not. It doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help the young businesses that are there, the new businesses that Tony mentioned that have come in and opened in the hopes that the neighborhood that frankly has been doing very well, been improving both residentially, housing prices are up, and commercially, new businesses have been there. The Save-A-Lot is doing really well. We have our own grocery store. How many places in the city can say that, right? I've been trying to figure out what are the odds of that, and appreciate you asking that question, Commissioner, of our staff. And I know the truth is nobody really knows, because it's not ours to control. It's not, we are depending on investors and investment, and that's just the system we're in. So I talked to some neighbors today. I talked to some residents about this. I think that the pattern that I've seen is that the residents that are within a block or a block and a half are passionately against it, and everybody else is passionately for it because they have dirty cars and they won't have to deal with whatever fallout there is, or change, or even the opportunity cost, the cost of doing this and not being able to do something else more beneficial, like we've been talking about, these other things. And they're the ones who are going to have to deal with it. So I think about other examples of things that seemed like compromise and seemed suboptimal at the time, or had significant neighborhood blowback, like the Waffle House that's right there. And some neighborhoods didn't want that there. Liberty High School, the current example being constructed now, where neighbors of that didn't really like it, but I think we all see the benefit of having something like that, and it's good for the city. The old Chaminade site, those of you who've been around a little while remember that particular drama. We had a chance to build a school on the Chaminade site and did not take it. You remember that, Mayor? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that was just a massive mistake. I mean, we looking back, it was a massive mistake. And even things like the rebuild of Wayne and Wilmington, when it came together, there was, I mean, the community was up in arms, and now traffic flows through there so nicely. I mean, it turned out it was a good decision. So these things are the factors I'm taking into account and trying to figure out what to do now. And I mean, these guys are looking at me because it's my neighborhood. So I think the question really is, do we trust in this economy, right? Do we trust in this recovery in this neighborhood?
That's another thing.
That not only are we looking for something that with an excellent partner would sort of keep the status quo of the neighborhood, automobile base. It doesn't make it any better, but certainly doesn't make it any worse. In fact, it takes care of the building, good landscaping makes it a little better. So that's the question. Right. Mayor, I'm curious to hear what you have to say about that, if you have any opinions on that. You have years of experience, some wisdom.
Was president of the school board at the time that we were in the debate about Chaminade Julienne on that location. And that went on and on and on. And I think recommendations from the state said no. And it pushed us into making that decision. Yeah. And when I look at what has happened to that neighborhood since that time in 2009 to where we are now.
It was on us too. We made the decision. Yeah. We said no too, unfortunately.
And so we look at an area that we're trying to rebuild now in that community over at, on Row and Rockwood. But that the whole challenge at the time, you deal with the information that you have at the time. And sometimes you're rolling the dice and hoping that things turn out the right way. So it's I won't say it's a crapshoot, but sometimes it is. And we continue to look at the big picture. As I mentioned a few moments ago, everyone wants the city to grow. Everyone is happy when the median income continues to increase, as it has over the last 10 years by $20,000. Those things happen because we have raised or rolled the dice, if you will, in many cases. We were in a conversation earlier today talking about how challenging it was to make the decision to invest in the warm, safe, and dry of the arcade, and looking at how strong of a positive impact the entire city has had because of that decision. And again, it wasn't popular at that time, even among some of the commissioners. But we made that decision, and it's been a major benefit as far as the whole city of Dayton and the future development. So, man, well, we'll think. And I ask commissioners, what's your position? Should we move forward?
What do you
Your
think,
wish?
Commissioner? What do you think? It's a tough balance, and this is politics where, you know, two really important values come into tension with one another, because, you know, the neighbors most closest to this are the most vocal opposing it. And I'm sympathetic to their concerns.
Yep.
The other thing is, I'm looking at this concept plan, and this isn't the car wash that I grew up with.
Right.
You know, I grew up on Bel Air, and we had a car wash for a while right there at the corner of Smithville and Waterville. And it was that open bay one. You drive in and you spray it down yourself, and then the vacuums are right there and you vacuum it. So for me, it comes out to a question of faith of, well, whether your engineering is as good as you say it is. Because the concerns I've heard, I mean, there's one concern is we just don't want a car wash, and that we can't address. But if the concern is traffic and sound and those issues, and balance, one of my priorities as a commissioner is moving unproductive properties into being productive properties. I think this is an opportunity to move an unproductive property into a productive one.
Can I ask him a question before you?
Yeah.
What is the medium salary for your employees there, both management employees and production employees?
Yes. I can help you with that. One second.
Sorry, I own a business too, so I got to ask that question.
So we have base salaries that are incentivized through, obviously we have a membership model, and you're aware when you step on site as a retail customer, staff are to engage you there and sign up for the membership, which is about 80% of our business, 80% of our members at a site. So I would say we call them team members, staff who help facilitate the site and run it, are right around, call it 35 as a base, and then incentivized.
Incentives.
Yes, both site incentive, area market incentive, and corporate incentive. So, right, your site does well, you get rewarded individually. Okay. Individually, you get rewarded. Your site gets rewarded. Your market gets rewarded in 5 different states, and then as a company, we're doing well. You also get sort of that share. We have assistant managers called 45 to 50, and then site 55, 65. There's a range just based on tenure, as you're aware. And so those are bases, and then they can go up significantly. There is huge motivation to get members to the site, and so they're rewarded handsomely.
Okay, thank you.
And I want to point out one thing, and I don't think I see it on there, but if you look at that producer on the intersection of Wilmington Pike and Patterson Road, if you have the plan in front of you, so the producer, like I said, is the piece of machinery that actually creates the noise. We moved it furthest away, but what I am noticing is that it's not enclosed, and we would be happy to enclose that producer. We've done that in rare instances, and I would be happy to do that where we can't put it inside the building, where we've gotten away with that before, especially with Rite Aids. We can enclose that in the same masonry that we would typically build our car wash, because we're not building this building. So essentially, it's like a split-face block, very similar to a Rite Aid, and we can help with the color scheme to match the building, but we can enclose that in a masonry.
And you would commit to doing that?
Yes, sir. And it significantly reduces the sound. Beyond, even though there isn't a sound issue based upon the engineers, I'm hearing some doubt that we're doubting the engineers. And 200 feet is a long way to go for sound that is, especially sound that's not directly focused at that point, right? This is sort of a radius sound, so it dissipates even more. We would enclose it in a block structure, and that would, from 200 feet, almost eliminate any sound from that producer.
Okay.
What's the timeline? If you got approval tonight, what's the timeline that this would be operational?
Well, I still have to go through civil, even though the site's kind of done, there's still some final site called compliance to make sure. That's probably a, city staff's here, they could probably tell you, 3-4 month process. We got sanitary water, that's probably, I call it like a 4 or 5 month process, and then we're a 5 month to 6 month build time.
So next year, beginning of 27?
Probably, maybe open this time of year, right? It would be close. If we beat 2026 or 2027, we would. The benefit of these are that you can work in the winter months, because if you get the site done, you can work inside in the building, so that helps expedite. And we're not building a building, so this time it gets a little bit shortened. So we conceivably could open next year.
So spring of 27, we might have a peak time between.
I'd say Q4 of 26 would be our goal internally.
To be open.
If we were approved
Yeah, I'm
to be
thinking,
open.
I'm thinking about when there's going to be nice weather.
Oh,
because I want to be able to sit out on the back porch of Bobby and
Sure.
Irene and
Yep.
share a beer.
That would be spring of 27.
And be able to hear them and test the engineering and be willing to be held accountable if the engineering isn't what you say it is.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you'll come and join me for that, but
I'd happy to sit on a couch and have a refreshing beverage, yes.
Okay. So the will of the commission is what, gentlemen?
I think I'd like to move forward.
Yeah.
Can't interpret smiles.
I would like to move forward, so if I get a second, I get a second. If not, then we know where we are.
This is one of the most tough decisions I've had to make in all these 22 years.
A very tough one. This is almost like the arcade, frankly. We did just have that conversation earlier.
We did.
Much smaller scale, but still.
Yeah.
You know, I think I'm gonna have to stay. I'd rather not move forward on this one, Commissioner. You know, I with quite a bit of regret, actually, because the partner is great. The need is there. It'd be great to have that sort of partner in rebuilding, continuing the rebuild of Belmont in the neighborhood. But I think we need to bet on the neighborhood, bet that a use that fits in what the immediate neighbors need and want, and really reflects the long-term plan for that area, for that not only Belmont but Patterson Park and Shorey Park and that whole stretch of Wilmington and Patterson. So
that's fair.
Yeah,
I didn't walk in here thinking I was going to say that.
That's true. What's
go ahead.
Yeah, what are your thoughts? I'm not sure. You mentioned about the brick enclosement, if you will. Is there anything else that you can think of since we've had these conversations that would help the comfort level of the citizens who live in that space?
I mean, I empathize with the citizens.
The walkability was always an issue, so maybe the benches or something.
Yeah, we've talked about, so on the north side of the property, we can, obviously, a wall, a decorative fence, that helps with sound. Visually, it would be a nice look, right? So it's not going to be obtrusive to them. Sidewalks along Wilmington, we talked about adding bike racks and even I won't say a bus stop because we don't control bus stops, but a station at which you could sit and rest, sort of a covered, I'll call it a bus stop. It's not a bus stop, I can't think of a name, but so essentially a seating area.
Like a gazebo type?
For pedestrians. Sure, planned with the city, so it doesn't look like a gazebo in someone's backyard. That would look out of place. But the spirit of that, yes. Because we do understand we're in a neighborhood, and we do operate in other neighborhoods like this where the walkability is the focus, and it is a tough job for cities right now. The focus is walkability, yet all customers say, I want to get in my car and drive.
Yeah. Yep.
And so we see that all over, and so we have balanced, even on our site, bike racks, benches, and we could do multiple benches along Wilmington and Patterson, and then even one that's covered for rainy days. Yes, when we say we partner with a city to make it work and we become part of the community, that is a real thing, and we've done it in practice. It's not lip service. You can go to the sites that we put benches on that no one would ever walk. Highways, 4-lane highways, and we put bike racks and benches because they want that connectivity in the future, and so we are a part of that. We've extended sidewalks beyond our property line, getting easements with adjacent property owners, and getting rights to do temporary construction easements to install sidewalks that connect beyond our property line, because that property owner wasn't going to change hands, and so we connected that for the township. We literally just got that approved, another site in Pittsburgh. So those are actual things that we do and say we're going to do, and you can see that they're done. Don't know that would change Mr. Joseph's opinion, but yes, we are a company that it can be creative in a way that makes sure that it's just not just for our benefit as a business. It is, we want them to be happy. We want them to come over, maybe interact with staff, and our staff interact with them. That is a real thing. We interact with the kids, the dogs, all that. That is a real, that's what drives our business to be part of the community. It's literally part of our mission statement, is to help change communities and change the people in the communities. That is part of our mission statement.
Yeah. So I know this is unusual. Tony, can I ask you one more question?
Breaking records here.
Man, I know. Is there another option that we would have in terms of sending this back for additional thoughts or consideration?
I would really, there is not. Your option, if you want to send it back, you're looking at a remand, which starts the whole process again back from the letter A, so re-notifying for plan board. Now,
okay,
we know that this will take 4 votes to overturn plan board. This is a first reading. The actual vote on the ordinance, I suppose, takes place 2 weeks from now. Mm-hmm. Right?
Correct.
Yep. New Year's Day at 8 o'clock or whatever. Yeah. Or Eve. Yeah. So that's the best I can do to help you is to say you're not voting on the actual ordinance today. You're voting to move forward. Now, in a normal situation, if there's 5 commissioners up there, I'd say, well, don't move forward if you're not going to get 4 votes. But it's up to this board and its bylaws. But I'm just letting you know that this is the first reading. But it will take 4 votes ultimately to approve the ordinance as it's written, because it contradicts the plan board recommendation.
And Mayor, if I may,
yes, please.
A couple of factual comments. I'm not trying to influence anybody's opinion, but I will tell you that Keisha Kenny back there would love to see another car wash for a water use in Dayton, and we as an organization are customers. Our fleet vehicles, police, fire, the departments in the street, we use Flying Ace, so it'd be nice for them to have another location to go to. That's all.
Okay. Okay, so we can have the final vote on the, what is that?
31st.
31st? Yeah. Okay, so we'll move forward.
Is that right?
Oh.
Is that right? We haven't moved.
It takes 4 votes to move forward, if I understand the process.
There has to be a vote.
Yeah, we're going to vote. Okay.
Mayor Mim?
Well, first of all, I moved the question. I need a second.
Mm-hmm.
So either we have a second or we don't have a second.
Can we get clarification from Tony?
Well, what are the thoughts of the clerks? Okay. So I don't think it takes 4 votes to move forward today necessarily. You need 4 votes to approve the ordinance. So I'm sorry?
On the 31st.
The 31st is your real vote for the ordinance. I don't staff the commission. I'm suggesting that it's possible to move forward with fewer than 4 votes
to get to the vote.
To get to the official vote. And I'm hearing people confirm that. So I'm trying to give you some options here. So I think one could be to choose to move forward as the 4 of you and then need 4 votes. It's the number 4, on the 31st.
31st. Correct.
Okay.
So then I'll call the question again. I move to move forward.
Waiting for a second.
I second.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
close the public.
Okay, yeah.
I always jump.
No. So we close the public hearing. I know you've all been waiting for that.
So I move forward to,
Yeah. Like to move forward.
move forward.
Yeah. Okay, roll call. Ms. McClendon?
Mayor Mims?
Yes.
Commissioners Shaw, Joseph,
No.
Shaw,
Yes.
Fairchild.
Yes.
First reading ordinance number 32174-25, amending the official zoning map to establish Plan Development 192 and final plan for 1.559 acres at the northeast corner of Wilmington Avenue and Patterson Road and repeal Planned Development PD-087.
Okay. All right, general comments from citizens. Ms. McClendon. Have any citizens who are registered to speak?
There are 4 citizens registered to speak, Your Honor. I would like to remind everyone of the 3-minute time limit. I call to the podium Kevin Keller.
Good evening, Commissioners, Mayor, City Manager, and audience. Kevin Keller, 3922 East 3rd Street, Dayton, Ohio, 45403. I'll start by saying this is probably the only and the second time I've ever become a voice for my family, my area, the city where I live, other than Sugar Creek Township, and that turned out to be a wow. I believe in this city's opportunity to really be a place to live, enjoy, raise a family, start a business. And the business that I thought we were going to get, I'm saddened that we could not bring it, continue. And that is going to help the condition of the streets too, because some of the businesses are going to be responsible through their tax base, or just like they were saying, they would help our condition of our streets and sidewalks. Speaking of streets, side streets are a real challenge to get through when it snows and they don't plow, especially when it's a narrow street on the east side. And I'm not saying we're the only ones with narrow streets, but I know that some of the problems we have with our streets is there's serious potholes, there's lack of lighting on the alleys, which are where a lot of the traffic goes. So I'm hoping we can continue to research the best solution for that kind of thing. East 3rd Street speed radar, they just let you know your speed. I wonder if there is going to be a advancement of that to some kind of accountability through a ticket or a warning. That would be nice to have, because people are still flying down that street and up the street and competing. I think we ought to propose before Mayor Mims' term is out that we do something that they used to do years ago, and I think you would have a great opportunity with the commissioners along in tow, maybe the city manager, to do what we called Mayor's Walk. And that was a really great way for the mayor to come out and see the citizens, not necessarily the ones that attend the meetings, but her or his face would be out there, as well as the commissioners, to meet the neighbors, and they would be able to see what we're talking about when we highlight an issue. I think we need to show a better face when certain issues in Dayton are discussed on the press, newspapers, radio, TV. We got a real black eye, in my opinion. I don't have any children in schools as far as Dayton City. We really need to put a better face on when we have a problem with some of the Dayton schools, or some of the other issues that we have within the city when we are interviewed through the TV, because a lot of people take the business or the broadcast as Bible instead of getting certain sources and finding their own understanding. So I really hope we can do a better job to showcase Dayton to the world. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Appreciate it.
I call to the podium Valerie Duncan.
Hello, my name's Valerie Duncan, 523 Hayden Avenue, Dayton, Ohio, 45431.
Good evening.
I'm here, good evening. I'm here to talk about the homeless shelter at 120 West Apple Street in Dayton, Ohio, 45402. There was an inspection back in July of this year, July 18th of this year, by the fire marshal. The Dayton Fire Department went out there. I don't have the whole report. There's 25 pages. There's 25 pages of violations that they found on July 18th, 2025. And one of the particular violations was the occupancy permit, and that's affecting the overall ability for the homeless people to stay at that shelter, the women and the women with children. Right now, it only permits 84 women and children occupants. And before, it allowed 125 to 130. And altogether, it was 231 that was going to be allowed at this facility of women or women and children. And then there was an alternative group of people that could come in, women that could come in, and then there was a crisis level, like for real cold weather or real hot weather, and that was 34. So that brings the number all the way up to 231. But with this inspection, they found violations, and one of the violations was that there's no occupancy permit. There was an architect group back in February of 2023 that made recommendations to the city of Dayton, the building permit people, and there was an application back in July of 2021. Since that time, there was a temporary 90-day occupancy permit issued February 27th, 2025. Now, then there was an inspection. It expired May 27th, 2024. It expired. So there's no occupancy permit at all. Whether it's temporary is the only one it was. And now, so all these violations, 25 pages of violations still exist. And I asked the city to address this so that we can have more occupancy at that location.
Can you finish up? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
I call to the podium Paul Kerrigan.
It's sitting a long time, gentlemen. Thank you. Paul Kerrigan, 1525 Pershing Boulevard, and you know why I'm here, so I'll make this brief. Let me just follow my guideline here. Happy holidays to all of you, and early Happy New Year to you all. I'm sorry our Mayor-elect's not here to hear that from me, but so I'll start with Pershing Hill. That's what I'm going to start calling it forever, Pershing Hill. That's the section I live on. It's dangerous. It's a hard place to raise a family. It's impossible. Thank God there's not a car wash going in near there. My God, I'd be out raising all kinds of problems for you guys. But anyway, I wanted to see if there are any data points as a result of that black box that was placed up on my street a few weeks ago that was taken down. Is there any data that can be shared with me? Is there any possibility of this moving forward? Is something being done by that dangerous hill that we all live on? Ed is, again, trying to keep people off parking on the bottom of the hill where the mayor you've been, and I got to say this, the mayor does do walks. He was in my neighborhood in October, so I know that for a fact. So he is out there doing that. Again, I want to see if there's any progress on that, if any decisions have been made, if anything's going to be done, because we're not going to go away. I have placed a message on the side of my house, the north side of my house. It is big, it is bold, and I think you need to see it. I'm already working with the street artists who would be happy to paint that Rite Aid for you with all kinds of creative designs. You see their art all over town. You know what I'm talking about. You come see the side of my house. There's a message there. And we're already talking about what we're going to do the next time in the spring and early summer. It's not going to go away. This problem is not going to go away. I'm not going to go away. Last thing. Second to last thing. Every time I come out of Myers and Kettering, first thing I hear, and it's 100, 150 yards away, is the music blaring from that car wash company. So tell me that those neighbors aren't going to hear it. It's hogwash. Hogwash. Last thing, a public plea. Do something meaningful. Do something meaningful for someone you know or may not know. Time is now. Act now. Happy holidays.
Thank you. Have a great day.
I call to the podium Kathleen Galt.
Kathleen Galt.
Good evening.
Good evening to all. Kathleen Galt, 5066 Safeway Drive, Dayton, Ohio. I want to make sure that I say that these are my opinions and not the opinions of the CC Clergy Community Coalition Board. Last Wednesday, I thanked the voters of Dayton for voting for Issue 9 by a large margin. Your votes for a publicly owned hospital came through loud and clear, confirming what the Clergy Community Coalition has been saying for years at City Commission meetings. Last week, I also thanked many of the individuals who were so important along our healthcare justice path. However, I forgot to mention 93-year-old Ethel Smith, Ethel's daughter Angie Watson as well, former president of the CCC Reverend Worthen's mother, Wanda Merritt, who was in her mid to late 80s. These three women stood on the corner of Philadelphia and Salem protesting the closing and destruction of Good Samaritan Hospital and downtown in front of Premier with us for years. Ethel Smith, who everybody should try to meet and talk with, was the first black nursing student and first black nurse at Good Sam. Her stories about that period of time are treasures. I want to thank Omega Church for allowing the CCC and Able Law to host the federal investigators who came to Dayton to hear the live testimonies of 130 people out of the 600 testimonies collected by CCC members from residents of Northwest Dayton who felt the closing and destruction negatively affected their lives. Thanks to Omega Church and all churches and other businesses, including Gem City Market and Gettysburg Grocery, for allowing us to collect signatures inside their stores so we could avoid freezing cold temperatures last winter. Thank you to former member of the CCC, Joe Love, who was the youngest member of CCC. Your beautiful and creative contribution in the form of a professional website was so appreciated. I missed your insights when you left. Thank you to Eric Moyers, who was instrumental in helping us put together the initiative. Thanks to Bill Davis for being so committed to health care for all. Thank you to the attorney Mark Brown from Columbus, who took on our case pro bono and helped us through a really difficult spot. Thanks again. I wanted to say we asked Mayor Whaley and commissioners, we asked Mayor Mims and commissioners, we asked City Manager, we asked Representative Joyce Beatty and Senator Sherrod Brown to come stand with us while we tried to stop the closing and destruction of Good Sam. None of you stood with us. We asked for town halls. There were no town halls. I ask all of you to own your past stances on a publicly built hospital, which has now been passed by the voters. If you've changed your minds, please let the public know. I asked Commissioner Fairchild to clarify his conflict of interest stance with the Ohio Ethics Commission. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
That is all, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Parlett, any closing comments?
Two comments, Your Honor. First, to address the concerns about the data study on Pershing Boulevard. The process that we utilize when we get complaints of that nature is for DPD and traffic engineering to work very closely together, as the gentleman mentioned, to do some data capture, right?
Okay.
I believe that's been completed, and they will then enter a data kind of study and analysis. What did we actually find? And generally speaking, we utilize a percentile of traffic and what those speeds are. Then we take that information and determine what is the remediation option for considering traffic volume and what we had found in the data. So I say all of that to say I don't know exactly where we're at, but I do know what happens is that they tend to formulate a recommendation by way of communication to us, and then we share that information with you guys. And then if there's action to be taken, clearly we take that action. Yeah, second comment, as we experience when we have federal holidays, we've got a big one next week, so waste collection will be disrupted. I believe it is, I know, we will not be collecting on Thursday, but Thursday routes will be collected on Friday. Therefore, there will not be any bulk waste pickup next Friday. There will be a communication coming out. We'll push it out on social media. Being a Thursday route guy, I'm well versed, so I know what to expect. But nevertheless, we will push another communication out to residents. So that's all I have.
Okay. Ms. McClendon, closing comments.
Yes, Your Honor. Due to the Christmas Eve holiday next week, the December 24th meeting is canceled, and the December 31st meeting will take place in the morning at 8:30 a.m. And the Commission office wishes everyone a happy holiday season.
Okay.
That is all.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, closing comments. Commissioner Fairchild.
Yeah, Mr. Parlett, can we also get some follow-up on the concerns raised about the shelter?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I want to thank my colleagues and the citizens who came out and participated in tonight's meeting. I think it was a good example of how deliberative democracy can occur, and I appreciate the engagement and the conversation and the deliberation. So I want to thank everyone who participated, as well as that, there's much more participation in conversations beyond tonight. And so want to really say how much I appreciate that and value that. I want to say there's great opportunities in this holiday season downtown. Dayton History presents a Carillon Christmas now until Christmas Eve. It takes place at the Carillon Historic Park from 5 to 9 p.m., and it showcases thousands of Christmas lights, classical holiday treats, visits with Santa, live musical performance, and historical craft demonstrations. And I got to attend the Nutcracker last Saturday night. We braved the snow and the cold, and we made it there, and it did not disappoint. And so if you have an opportunity to get to the Nutcracker, it is a real treat. And like I said last time, the refresh is really remarkable. So I encourage you to go out and get downtown and enjoy our great city. And then finally, I will add my well wishes for the holiday season for those who are celebrating Hanukkah and Christmas and Kwanzaa. Common in all of those holidays is a recognition of light and the importance of light in our lives and how it can bring hope, particularly in dark places. And so as we approach the shortest day of the year, many people may struggle with some darkness. I encourage you to look for those glimpses of light in your life and around you, and for those who are in a place to share light, to do so. Happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you for that, Commissioner. Appreciate that. Just quickly, this Saturday, December 20th, from 1 to 4 p.m., the Dayton Beer Company is hosting a sip and shop event. There will be vendors selling clothing, art, jewelry, and much more. This is a great chance to do some last-minute holiday shopping while you enjoy a drink. This will be at the Dayton Beer Company's location at 41 Madison Street. And I would also like to say happy holidays to everyone, and hope you can enjoy your families, and please reach out to those that are alone, because there's a lot of that. So enjoy the holiday.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Joseph.
Thank you, Mayor. Want to echo my colleagues in saying happy holidays. Hope you have a good break. Make sure you check on your neighbors. Now is a good time to knock on the doors, like Commissioner said. I also want to have an announcement here. You can help shape Dayton's electric vehicle future. We at the city are partnering with an organization called SOPEC to expand public EV charging through a program called RIDES, which is going to bring more electric vehicle charging options into our neighborhoods. Several new locations are being proposed, and one key portion of this process is getting community feedback. So I want to encourage you to go take a quick survey, and I'm going to read this out. It's a website, www.sopec-oh.gov www.scarecrow.org/rides, RIDES. You'll be able to take a survey there and share your thoughts. I'm going to read that again. It's www.sopec-oh.gov/rides, RIDES. We're doing everything we can to make sure folks have access to these. I think the transition is inevitable now, though it might take a little bit longer with the recent developments, but a cleaner way that we can drive our vehicles using power that we make on our roofs. It's a good thing. So I'm looking forward to hearing your opinions through the survey. Again, happy holidays.
Okay, thank you very much. And Commissioner, thank you for your comments concerning Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, and also Merry Christmas. Very special time this year. Every year rolls around. We're all excited. I hope Santa Claus doesn't act like he's double parked when he comes to your home and leaves a myriad of gifts for you and family and friends. And don't forget to think about those individuals who may not have someone in their lives to create some happiness. I do have some notes I just want to share. The Dayton Fire Department and its community paramedicine team will be working and hosting 3 vital clinics each month at the community centers across the city. The first clinic will be held on Mondays, I should say, from 10 o'clock until 11 o'clock a.m. at the Greater Dayton Rec Center on 3rd Street. And then December 1st through January 5th, as well as February the 2nd. Then on Wednesdays, from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock at Lowray Center, December 17th, January 21st, and February the 18th. And then on Thursdays, from 11 a.m. to noon at the Northwest Rec Center, December 11th, January the 8th, and February the 12th. Additionally, something ongoing is the Senior Safe Program, where you can still call and register. And those are for Dayton residents. That number is 937-333-5555. And the fire department and individuals on their staff will call to check on you every day to make sure, especially during this time of year, that you're okay. If there's no answer, there's no response, then they will come out physically and check on those you and whoever is in your household. Additionally, the fire department is also offering a free stepping on fall presentation program for residents ages 55 and older. The 7-week program runs Wednesdays from 10:30 a.m. until 12:30 p.m. Also, January 14th and February 25th at the Greater Dayton Rec Center, the registration is required. So again, these are some things to make sure you're connected with. All right. Additionally, I want to say, Mr. Kerrigan, you got your response from Mr. Parlett about the process, and feel free to call us, and we'll be happy to let you know whatever type of updates we have as well. And we like having you come here, like seeing you and hearing your comments, but you can also call as well. All right. Okay. Additionally, we want to say that the services for board member Karen Wick, who passed away last week, will be held December the 21st at Omega Church from, I think the viewing starts at 3 o'clock p.m., and the services actually start at 4 o'clock p.m. Again, this coming Sunday, December the 31st. And today just had the 21st. 21st. Thank you so much. The 21st. Just want to recognize the fact that today, the 122nd birthday of the Wright brothers' first venture in flight, right here in Dayton, Ohio. So they had a ceremony this earlier today, which I was fortunate enough to be able to attend, and was fortunate enough to have good weather, because I've heard that good weather or not, they have that ceremony. So we avoided having to have the ceremony on Monday. So very good for us. So, love and peace for all, with no further business to come before this commission. Again, this meeting is adjourned. And thank you all for your spirited contributions to this commission meeting.